Huntsville wasn't ready for this storm. What was supposed to be a glamorous reunion in the City of Angels turned into a full-blown spectacle of secrets, silence, and scandal. The cast of Love and Marriage. Huntsville arrived with designer bags and designer grudges, smiling for the cameras while side eyes told the real story. Melody Sherry shimmered like she'd already won the war. Martell Holt looked like a man running from his past, and Letitia Scott's smile was sharper than her emerald dress. But something was missing, and the absence was deafening. Arian Curry. Her name wasn't spoken, but it hung in the air like perfume and tension mixed together. The internet caught on fast, turning curiosity into chaos. Hashtags, theories, and accusations flooded timelines. Then Arian broke her silence, dropping cryptic posts that felt like ticking bombs aimed straight at the show's glossy facade. She claimed she'd been erased, her story rewritten to protect others. The fans went feral. Suddenly, the reunion wasn't about love, healing, or moving on, but it was about control. Who gets to tell the truth? Who gets silenced? And why does it feel like the woman they tried to erase might just be the one holding all the power? The lights in Los Angeles burned bright, but the tension between the cast of Love and Marriage, Huntsville, burned even brighter. From the moment the cameras started rolling, it was clear this wasn't going to be a normal reunion. Old wounds were reopened, fragile truces shattered, and years of carefully managed images began to crack right before the audience's eyes. Melody Sherry walked in radiating confidence, her gown flowing like a statement of victory, while Martell Holt carried the kind of uneasy charm that always precedes chaos. Every glance, every smirk, every whispered word had a hidden meaning. The show had built its empire on love, loyalty, and betrayal. But this time, it wasn't the usual arguments that caught the world's attention. It was who wasn't there. Arian Curry's absence wasn't just noticed, it was dissected. The woman whose name once dominated the storylines, whose relationship with Martell reshaped the entire dynamic of the cast, was suddenly gone without explanation. The audience could feel it. The energy was different. Even the cast seemed aware that ignoring her presence only made it louder. Cameras caught subtle glances, uncomfortable pauses, and the kind of awkward silence that says more than words ever could. Online, fans erupted, accusing the producers of erasing the one person who had kept the storyline alive during its most dramatic years. Arian's silence only fueled the fire until she finally decided to speak. Her words weren't loud, but they hit like thunder. Through carefully chosen captions and late-night posts, she hinted at manipulation, favoritism, and being used for ratings only to be discarded when the narrative no longer needed her. Whether she was telling the full truth or just her version of it didn't matter. What mattered was how believable her pain felt. In a franchise built on exposing reality, she made the viewers question what real even meant anymore. Martell tried to maintain composure, but those who've watched him long enough could see the frustration simmering beneath his charm. He wasn't just dealing with the fallout of his past actions, but with a ghost who refused to stay silent. Melody, on the other hand, handled it all like someone who had already learned that silence can sometimes speak louder than confrontation. The reunion turned into a mirror reflecting the mess behind the glamour, a show that claimed to be about love and growth now drowning in secrets and damage control. Each smile looked forced, every apology rehearsed. And by the time the credits rolled, one thing was undeniable. Even off camera, the story was far from over. When Arian finally broke her silence, the internet exploded. She didn't need a sit-down interview or a confessional chair to make her presence felt. All it took was a few lines on social media, cryptic, emotional, and dripping with meaning. She hinted that the producers had deliberately cut her out, painting her as disposable after building entire seasons around her name. Fans who had once hated her now started seeing her differently. They said she was treated like a storyline, not a person, and that the show had used her pain for profit. Suddenly, the woman once branded as the villain began to look like a victim of the reality TV machine. The conversation shifted. People started questioning how much of Love and Marriage Huntsville was truth, and how much was performance. Arian's comments painted a picture of a production team more concerned with protecting certain cast members than showing the whole truth. She claimed that her relationship with Martell had been sensationalized and that parts of her story had been twisted to fit a specific image. And even though Martell never responded directly, his body language on camera said everything: irritation, guilt, and that flicker of frustration that always shows up when he feels cornered. Melody remained silent, refusing to engage, but her silence almost screamed louder than any response could. the tension between what was shown and what was hidden created a wave of speculation online. Viewers dissected every scene, every edit, and every interview, looking for clues. What they found wasn't clarity, but confirmation that there was more behind the scenes than anyone wanted to admit. By the time Arian's posts began trending, it wasn't just about her absence anymore. It was about exposure. She had turned her silence into a weapon, and the reunion into her revenge, proving that even when she's not in the room, her shadow still looms over everyone who ever tried to erase her. The days following Arian's posts turned the internet into a battleground. Bloggers, fans, and insiders all joined the debate, each claiming to know the truth. Some sided with Melody, praising her for rising above the drama and focusing on her success. Others defended Arian, calling her the missing piece that made the entire show what it was. Every clip from the reunion was replayed, slowed down, and analyzed. People noticed the way Martel's expression changed when her name was hinted at, the way producers cut to commercial whenever things got too real, and how the remaining cast members avoided addressing her directly. It was as if everyone had agreed to pretend she didn't exist. And yet, she was all anyone could talk about. Behind the scenes, whispers of phone calls, messages, and backdoor negotiations began to leak. Some claimed Arian had been offered a private deal to stay quiet. Others said she turned it down to protect her dignity. Whatever the truth was, her absence spoke volumes. It reminded viewers that in reality TV, silence can sometimes be the loudest scream. Meanwhile, Martel's attempts to shift focus back to his image seemed desperate. His charm, once magnetic, now looked forced under the pressure of public scrutiny. Melody kept her composure, but even she couldn't stop the narrative from spiraling into chaos. The fans demanded answers, but none came. Arian had reignited the flames of a storyline the network thought they had buried, forcing everyone to confront what was left unspoken. The reunion that was supposed to close a chapter had instead opened a new one, darker, messier, and far more unpredictable. And as the world watched, one truth became clear: erasing someone from the screen doesn't erase their impact. Arian may not have had a seat on that stage, but she had something far more powerful: the world's attention, and a voice that refused to be silenced. The drama that started in Huntsville has now spilled far beyond the show itself, turning into a conversation about power, truth, and who gets to control the narrative. Arian may have been cut from the reunion, but she's become the headline everyone can't stop talking about. What was once a love triangle has turned into a war of perspectives, one where silence, timing, and perception matter more than any storyline a producer could write. As the cameras fade and the cast moves on to their next projects, the audience is left wondering what's real and what's edited, who's healing and who's hiding, and whether love and marriage, Huntsville, can ever recover from the damage of trying to bury a woman who refuses to disappear. Because in this game of fame and fallout, the truth always finds a way to resurface. And this time, it came back louder than ever. If you think the storm in Huntsville is finally calming down, think again, because this saga is only getting started. Stay locked in right here on The Hype Spill for every twist, every secret, and every truth they don't want you to know.